All right, you're listening to the Unanimous Decision podcast brought to you by the MTR Network. I'm your host, Dpalm. I'm on Twitter at Dpalm66. And if you're here right now, I'm assuming you're listening to the podcast because this, I think, is just going out on the UD pod feed. If it makes the main feed, it's because Chris hates me. Monday night, the University of Georgia Bulldogs fell to University of Alabama Crimson Tide. In an absolute barn burner of a classic of a game. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna lean on cliches some. Like cliches are coming. It's a lot of coach speak today. Both teams played hard, my man. Both teams played hard. But objectively, an amazing football game. An amazing football game. It's not the way I think it should have ended. Not the way I would have liked it to end, but it did ended. Bama won again. Bama won again. Saban won again. There's good and bad to be taken from it. As a Georgia fan, the goods from the whole game. I really thought the young players, particularly the quarterback, stepped up for the most part. There were a couple moments. I say jokingly that there are 3 throws a game where I just throw something in my room and yell freshman because something Fromm did. But he had a couple more of those last night. I'm not gonna lie. About 5 of those throws that I count on top of my head, where it's just moments where I was just like, man, if you were a little older, you wouldn't be throwing footballs off people's helmets for picks. You'd be taking that sack like a gentleman. But it is what it is. Hindsight 2020, all that fun stuff. Georgia came out on top early. Like they came out firing. They came out with the excitement. They weren't scared, and that's something you gotta ask for a situation like this. I told someone else today that this is Bama. We're Bama 1.0. We're Bama where we got elite talent, elite coaching, and an elite desire within our players to succeed. Well, the problem was we were playing Bama 3.0, where they don't just have 22 of those cats or 25 of those cats. They got 50 of them, where they're losing All-American left tackles and replacing with freshmen, where they're pulling a quarterback that led you on a drive that could have won you national title last year, who's got 2 losses in his books, and you pull him at the half and say, we're going with the fresh, we're going with the frosh out of Hawaii. And that's what Bama 3.0 does. It's not even a next man up type thing next year. It's you're all interchangeable pieces, and some of you will be utilized at our discretion, not your own. And it works. It worked. Of all the ways this game was going to end, Tua off the bench wasn't in the cards, but the first half was one-sided. Hurts wasn't getting any freedom on his runs. The throwing power has been talked about ad nauseum. He just didn't look like a quarterback who was comfortable out there. Georgia got to him a couple times early, and he looked a little bit, I don't want to say shook, but I did think he looked a little injured. I thought maybe something come up with the foot. Things obviously didn't like. I thought Nick Chubb looked off all game. I don't know if he's injured. I'm not going to speculate on anything. He's had an amazing career. Georgia's going to have an amazing career as a pro. This wasn't his game. He's a one-cut runner, and when he hit holes, it was a chop. He'd take very choppy steps, and that's enough to kill you against Alabama. Sony had a great game. Sony. I don't know why you're not running early against them. I don't know why we threw 3 times to start the game, leading to a pick. A lot of questions coming out of it. But anyone following me on social media knows that I had amazing tickets, amazing seats. I had to thank one of my really good friends, and he's actually going to be our guest on the main show this Sunday. So it's my left tackle from college. So if you want to hear someone who knows me as well as anyone in the world and knows exactly what to say to get the best rants out of me and have a very entertaining show, you should really tune in for that one. But I got to bring my dad, and y'all have heard him on the podcast, but like, we lost and it sucks, but I got to experience a once in a lifetime opportunity with my father, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. If you have a chance to go see your favorite football team play in your hometown for a national title, you should do that. That's just little life advice from UD Pod to you, handing it out, giving it away. I don't want to get into the excuse game. This is the one thing I've been fighting internally all day, is because I had a great experience. I had a tremendous experience. I got to watch, like I said, my favorite football team on the biggest stage possible in Atlanta. Like, it's my first trip in the new stadium. My last trip in the old stadium ended in my high school winning a state title. So I was hoping to carry some of that mojo forward. Didn't quite make it there. Just, I don't even know what to say. There were some calls in the game. And I'm never going to be the one who says the refs cost us a game, blah, 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 blah. I will say this. I finally saw, and maybe people knew this, I've avoided most of the media today. And I know that having seen replays now, having seen some GIFs, that the block punt was a block punt. It wasn't offsides, which was probably the best jump I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not telling, people say the fix was in or whatever. There's no fix. There was no fix. Those were Big Ten officials on a big stage, and they folded. They weren't ready for the stage. But like, I'm watching this GIF again right now of this called offsides block punt, and you're just sick. Like, and it's like 3 or 4 plays like that. Like, there's a big missed face mask. Big missed face mask in the couple of them, actually, against Georgia. And the links in the show notes, I'm not going to go through them all because, honestly, it's a well you don't come back from when you say, oh, the refs. It doesn't make it easier to swallow, I'll tell you that. When you sack a quarterback and then as you're getting up, you push his head down, and you do it in front of a ref, or the fact that you're offsides on your tying touchdown pass. There's a false start on your receiver, but it's a touchdown. Guys play with heart, man. And the atmosphere, man, I can't tell you enough about how cool it was being there. Partially just because of the sheer number of people, but also because, and anyone who was there can attest, I know how it played on television, there was a sliver of Bama folk. And then the sliver extended to maybe halfway to one end zone, maybe partway up the sideline. The rest of it was Georgia. The rest of it was Georgia. It was, like, there were individual Bama fans, obviously in small pockets, but it was red and black. It felt like Sanford Stadium. And like too many of my trips to Sanford, we ended with a loss. And, I'm not happy about this. I'm putting on a brave face right now, but man, there's a lot of cussing, a lot of anger through the last 24 hours. But yeah, man, all you can do is ask to be in the dance. We made it to the dance. Now all I ask for is a win. And Kirby Smart's bringing buckets of 5-star athletes. And y'all know I don't do recruiting, but if this is the median step to what the next step's going to be for this program, I'm on board. I'm all in. Like, let's do this. They know more than we do as far as this football thing. And Kirby came out with a game plan that was lights out against someone he knows better than anyone else in the world. And here's how you know he did something better against Saban than no one really done. Saban had to go to his playbook and say, fuck it. Let's get Tua. And that's what it was. He cut the kid loose. He looked shaky early because, of course, again, freshman, major stage. And I'm going to get a little football nerdy just bear with me for a second. The play that ended the game, the throw in overtime, the coverage was cover 2 man. And I'm not taking anything away from Tua. Tua was great. He gave a senior, like an NFL quality look to the right. He stared down the right side, and the safety starts to give. He gives. He tries to jump it because at this point, we're up 3. We know they can't kick. There's been a sack. Yo, in this game with the pick. And I get it. But one of the tenets of a good defense is do your job. Don't do someone else's job. Do your job. And Tua does freeze Sanders with the look. And he creates space by holding that look. But also, I'm 99% sure Sanders forgot Tua was left-handed. If it's second in, what was it? I think it was second in somewhere around the neighborhood of 24 yards. He's not going to throw across his body if he doesn't have to. So the look right was always a feint. And I think I finally, I said I was going to do it. I finally watched the play this afternoon. And that was the thing that jumped out at me. It was like, because in the stadium, I was like, why are we in cover one? That's what it felt. That's how far over Sanders had drifted, trying to jump this route. I said, why are we in cover one against Verts? But we weren't. We're in cover two. Man, it's a good coverage. You got to do your job. But that's. The guys on the sideline have done this before. They've been there before. They had been to this stage. From the water boy to the strength coach who did a better job of holding back their sideline. This was old hat for them. And this is new territory for Georgia. I said it myself. I said, look, I never really thought that this program would be at this place. And I get why Sanders cheated. Like, I say this from the comfort of my desk, having watched the tape after living it. I have that luxury. I'm not an exhausted kid at the back end of a second overtime game who wants more than anything to end this mug just so he can get a win for him and his fam, for him and his teammates. Wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. I put out a call for emails out to udpodcast@gmail.com. You can always email us things you want us to cover on the show, things an opinion, something you want read on the air. But today I said, hey, we're opening the mailbag. We're going to say, who's got something to say? National Championship, emergency podcast, who's got what? I'm going to go first. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. I'm assuming the order they came in. I'm not going to do this, so we'll just see how it goes. CJ emails, hey, what's up, Dpalm? CJ here and loving the show. Me and my dad were watching the national championship game, and the one thing that baffled him more than anything is that why do teams play conservative when they're dominating other teams? Seen this countless times during the NFL season, and it makes no sense. What possessed Georgia to play conservative? Thanks, Skip, the great work. First of all, thank you for emailing in. So when you're winning, we had something in college called the 4-minute offense. If we were up and there were 4 minutes left, that meant lay on every pile. Let's get every second, before they start winding that play clock again, let's get every second we can bleed out. Because we're winning. You want to run that clock. You want that clock is your friend. What actually shocked me about last night was Georgia took the lead and they're throwing on first. And I know people say, that's kind of their offense. But when you've got a lead and you're protecting the lead and you've entered a 4-minute offense, you can stay in your spread, you can stay with your concepts. But why aren't we just handing the ball off? If not just to Chubb, because I think Chubb was off. Chubb was off last night. It's fine. Players are allowed to have an off night. Give it to Michelle. Don't wild dog it. Just let's play it straight up. You've been showing keys out of these formations, first down throws early. Let's go against grain. Let's call some first down runs out of the gun. See if we can loosen up these backers and safeties some. They never did that. So every time the ball hit the ground, the clock would stop. We were up. I have not relived this game, so I apologize for any inaccuracies. I'm going off memory in the building. We're up, and we called 3 straight throws, and I think it rounded an entire 18 seconds off the clock, and I couldn't find words. I was in shock. I was dismayed. I was disgusted. It was something that, I don't know, it's one of those things that you don't want to, because I said earlier, these guys know what they're doing as far as college football. But I do know that the tight end on the corner route was open twice in the red zone. I know he was open once on a seam, and we never looked to him. We were throwing outside in, which is probably a game plan thing. It's probably saying, hey, get the corners where you get them on an island and don't have safety help. The safety's going to stay inside. They're not going to anything outside them. Just, I'm sure it was an outside the numbers game plan. Still, the routes are there. There are no dead routes to approve that. Next one we got is from Justin. Subject is Georgia sports. Thank you very much for reminding me about the year. This has been example number 300 as to why I believe it is fruitless to believe in any Georgia team of any type. This is the kind of email I expect. This is someone who knows, at least maybe not personally, but who has seen my pain and seen it in others. From the Falcons to the Braves, hey, they're off. The Braves in Cobb County, I don't believe them anymore. To the Hawks to the Dogs, failure after constant regular season successes, or even just plain failure, seems to be the norm. Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory on his regular business, hell, one could even say it is the primary business. Yet I commend every fan of a Georgia team I know, for they must be the strongest people on the planet. Also, hot damn, Saban put in a QB my age who looked the safety off and threw a dart for TD to win the game in OT. I'm on the Tua train now. Well, Justin, you seem very happy. So first and foremost, fuck you very much. Secondly, we want to debate that. Like, that's a great point. Being a fan of teams in this state tends to suck. And I'm not even counting like lesser teams. Like Tech, y'all know Tech exists still? Tech won like 4 games last year. Embarrassing that shit. But yeah, the Hawks are currently the worst team in the NBA. After a NBA, I think it's the second longest active streak of making the playoffs, which you can say speaks to mediocrity. I say it speaks to a certain level of consistency that most teams would only aspire to. I'm looking at you, Knicks, as I'm lashing out. I'm in a bad place. I'm upset. We lost that game. I was there. I had to pick crimson and white confetti off my jacket this morning. Yeah, very un-okay with having to discuss that further. Let's move on. We've got another email. Juan, Dpalm, first of all, my condolences. I know you don't care about baseball, but as a lifelong Mets fan, I can truly appreciate the anguish you're going through. The Mets go to the series about once a decade in my 40 years on Earth. And in between those trips, we find the more outstanding ways to shoot ourselves in the foot. There's the bases loaded walk with a trip to the World Series on the line to lose to those Braves in '99. You're welcome. Losing a Subway Series to the Haiti Yankees 2000 punctuated by a base-running error in Game 2 that swung the series. There's the great collapse of '07 and '08 when the Mets were leading the division by 7 to 8 games, a little over a week left in the season. Carlos Beltran striking out, looking to end the 2006 NLCS against the St. Louis Cardinals. The most recent heartbreak was the 2015 World Series where the Mets had a lead in the 8th inning in every game to only lose the series 4-1. And this is me being petty. The most egregious New York Mets way of fucking up occurred to me when reading the Mitchell Report, where the world learned that the Mets trainer was one of the main suppliers of PEDs for half the major league at the time. During the period, the Mets lost 86, 95, and 91 games respectively, so even when rampant cheating is happening in sports, my guy either couldn't be bothered to drop a couple vials off, or he didn't even know how to cheat correctly. Wait, it's the latter. See, Bernie Madoff scandal, where the Mets somehow benefited off the Ponzi schemes when approached by the FBI and SEC during the investigation and were offered the Ponzi scheme insurance, which is actually a thing. The owner said, nah, we're good. So the Mets are both the claimants and respondents into one of the largest Ponzi schemes to date. So while the pain of losing to a hated rival stings, y'all have a great young team and studs come back at every position. At the end of the day, you're not waiting for the Mets. And I want you to know that I really appreciate that email because you're right, I could have it worse. But I want you to know why I'm offended by that email. I lose a national championship game. Georgia loses a national championship game. And all of a sudden, I'm in the dregs with these Mets fans. I think higher of myself than that. I'm a lot of things. I'm not a Mets fan. I in no way can rock with the email I got from you, sir. I apologize. Sam Franco, friend of the podcast, 960 The Ref in Athens, Georgia. Actually ran into him walking to our seats last night. Very strange. We're in we're the doldrums of the Mercedes. I want to call it the dome still, the new dome. And we're walking to wherever the little lounge area before go to the seats. And I see the best version of Sam Franco walking down the halls. I'm like, oh, national championship for Sam Franco, tightened up the beard and he's here to be here. He had a tweet today. Sam, just like me, man. Sam and I, we were texting after this, but it was not great. I should probably move on for the sake of my mental health, but I just can't. Another Georgia sports team had it. 2017 Natty meet the 96 World Series, the 2012 SEC Championship game, 2013 NFC Championship game, and the 2017 Super Bowl. Did I leave anything out? #UGA. Franco, brother, man, we're Dusty Rhodes, man. These are the dustiest finishes possible. You think the babyface is going to walk out with the belts? Bro, the last two chances this state had, were against the biggest villains in their respective sports, the Patriots and Bama. And on those nights, you could have converted every red-blooded American not in Boston and or Alabama on respective nights into dyed-in-the-wool Falcons or Dogs fans. We would have... I think the new lesson from Star Wars is that they keep building Death Stars. Let's go to some more emails. We got more emails. We got a couple more before we get out of here. Phone doesn't want to cooperate. Come on, phone. All right, do it that way then. All right, we got an email here from Jonathan. Emergency National Title Game Podcast. Love the show. Man, I feel for your team, bro. But you can take solace from the fact that Nick Saban is going to hell. There's no way he didn't make a deal with the devil to be the best college football coach of all time. And anyone who wants to throw an asterisk on that, you can take a seat. He's the goldest of gold standards. I'm going to talk about this weekend. We'll get to the show, the sales pitch. Like, what is the easiest sales pitch in sports? Because he can back it up every time. And, part of me does say he probably did sell his soul to something. But another part of me tips my cap because we're all chasing Saban. And last episode, I decried the fact that this had become a national sport from regional one. It's tougher when your region is setting the pace nationally. So to chase it locally is to chase it nationally. We got an SEC title, which matters, but we lost it. Yeah, man, this one's gonna sting for a minute. I wish you hadn't seen this. Justin emails, you know the name. He's from Three Fifths Podcast. He's been on the show many, many times. LJ90 on Twitter. The events of January 8th. And I want y'all to remember, this motherfucker considers himself a writer, and he is a pretty good writer, but when he uses his talents towards me, I don't appreciate it one little fucking bit. I hate Alabama. I hate Georgia, but it's only recently that my hate has been reignited. The world's largest cocktail party has been for my most life the game before my birthday, where a team that I root for gives me the best present ever, the abject humiliation of rival school. Hold the fuck on. Okay. He wrote into my show and is just going to stunt on... all right. That hasn't been the case in the last few years. We have been humbled. The shots were uncalled for, Justin. You could have just said, hey, the recent history of this game has been We had gorged ourselves in the lesser SEC East for so long that we had grown proud and sloven. UGA had become what we thought ourselves to be, a hungry team, ferocious and ravenous, that would decimate any opponent in its path. When they were both announced for the playoff, I knew what would happen. I would have to watch a school I hate win a title during a year that the school I root for was a national laughingstock. Let's be honest. Florida's been a laughingstock for the last couple of years. Oh, that's your Eminem and 8 Mile where you say it so I don't have to. All right, I got you. Anyways, the game started, and as I was catching up on Flash Rebirth, I refused to watch this game. Then Tiffany looks at me and says, I just want Georgia to win for the culture. I like Tiff more than you always have, though. That's when I knew the world would break her heart. I tried to warn her that in all my years of watching Atlanta sports teams from someone who actively rooted for the DVD era Falcons. Man, look, Dunn, Vic, and Duckett did it, man. Say what you... okay, we'll talk. That may be like a podcast series where we relive classic teams like that, because that was a team. Yeah. Before we even knew we were doing it for the culture, I tried to warn her that this game had only one outcome: suffering. You see, hope is a lie. That's what I've learned from watching sports. The underdog never wins. Cinderella's dance is always cut short, and the soulless machine calls all. But this was different. We saw that machine start to break down. We saw frustration. We saw anger. We thought we saw the unraveling of an unstoppable juggernaut. What was once a sign of hope quickly turned into fear that the machine wasn't failing, it was updating. After the necessary reboot, after patching, the machine began to cull all hope from the stadium. The state of Georgia drew proud, up 2 scores, 10:30 on January 9th. They allowed themselves to hope, and they quote Nick Spencer, they were punished for it. Look, you writerly one. That was, you could Thank you for the email, I suppose. I'll tell you one thing we did do. And you can say what you will, but I do not know what media is talking about nationally. I have only talked to my friends and like other Georgia fans we've all been very much like, you all right today? Yeah. Head up. Just, hey, one foot in front of the other. It's good. And I don't cry over sport that I wasn't involved in. Like if I wasn't on the wrestling mat or if I wasn't on the football field, tears don't flow. It's not how I'm wired. But man, walking out of that stadium and hearing so many people, you're walking in and seeing so many people say things to the effect of, man, I'm just glad I'm here with my dad. I'm glad I'm here with my son. There's so many fathers and sons, so many families there that, yeah, you may have overwritten that, but it may have been appropriate. I do appreciate it, Justin. Jeremy's our last email of the night. Again, damn. Hey, man. All right. After Georgia football teams blew double-digit leads in their respective championship games twice in an 11-month span, you should start a petition to abolish the colors red, white, and black from all sports attire. Honestly, you might want to not contemplate football fandom free agency and not to form potential misery in your mind. But if the Saints host the Falcons for the NFC Championship game, how will you take that L? I'm lying. I do want that misery. I'm a Saints fan. Keep your head up, man. Stay strong. I want to just say right now, your last line of "keep your head up, man, stay strong" really rings untrue, and like I don't believe you. You need more people as far as the sincerity of that statement. That said, I'll deal with this. Yeah, the leads happen. The meltdowns happen. I ain't gonna fight from that. I'll talk about the rest of that in a second. The Falcons do play on this weekend. I don't know what day. And they're going to go and play the Eagles, who have Nick Foles. And the coach today said their plan is to let Nick Foles be Nick Foles, so I assume the Falcons are going to win. But provided we do have to go to dread New Orleans to play the Saints, that loss won't hurt. You know this, especially Saints fans. I don't hate or love you anymore because there's more on the line. This could be week 3. I'd still hate the Saints. And a loss doesn't hurt me more. Like, what? Like, I honestly think the NFC is better than the AFC this year. But, no, there's no... Yo, losing to the Saints, fine. I mean, I don't think they'll lose to the Saints, first and foremost. But if they were losing, it wouldn't hurt extra because it's in the playoffs. It just hurt because it's the Saints. No account town. Shouldn't you have a football team? Anyway, I want to say this. And this is a tip to Uber drivers of America. I know people who want to listen to the podcast might be driving. You might be listening to this podcast in an Uber. That's called Synergy. Uber doesn't sponsor this podcast, or if they want to, I can read ad reads. But seriously, I get in my Uber last night, and I get my dad squared away in his Uber, and then I get in my Uber. And first of all, madhouse. There's no good way out of that stadium, particularly when Cheeto Hitler is getting booed out of the building. I heard y'all couldn't hear it on the television. These motherfuckers booed him. A Georgia-Bama football game hit this dude with a wave of boos, and I've seen the videos. He didn't know the words of that song. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, I apologize. I get in the Uber. My man has got the post game on the radio, and I'm not that asshole. Like, hey man, turn your radio off. I'm just gonna be like, let me just lay back and I go, you got the address, man? He's like, yep. I said, cool. He's driving. I live, give it 6 to 8 miles from the stadium. Shouldn't be a long ride. It's $50 because fuck you, Uber, but my man, before we even, I'm normally, we'll get a moment of chill. Maybe he'll get I'm the dude who'll pay a surcharge for you not to speak to me. That's who I am, and most times in the Uber. After that, yo, you got the game, huh? Yep. Who are you cheering for? I was cheering for Georgia. And logic me says that should end that. We shouldn't have to talk anymore. I should go home, pour myself a tasty beverage, and I don't know, play Madden until 4 in the morning so I can feel like I control something involved football. Anyway, no, this didn't deter my man at all. Oh, Georgia, man, I moved here, and I get to hear this man's diatribe about moving here from L.A. 20 years ago, and how he continually gives our teams, and I'm going to use this word, chances, but that we always let him down, and that it's not worth it to even care about these teams. And Uber drivers of America, Uber establishment, I need you to understand that if we need to explain to your drivers how to deal with people leaving a large sporting event, I'll run the seminar. So my man got me home safely. My man got me home in a timely manner. His car didn't smell, he didn't speed. But he got that 1 star from me because fuck him and fuck Alabama. That was your show. This is your outro. I'll see y'all on Sunday.
Give me